So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I have three members of the band Plight. They're a band from New York City, and they play indie alternative rock with that sound from the 90s that if you watch my fucking channel, you know that I love everything that sounds like the 90s. So I have three members here, and we're going to talk about their album Plastic Sun, which came out at the beginning of the year. And we're going to talk all about it and music in general. So, first of all, guys, how are you today?
I'm good. And yourself?
I'm great. So, just say your name and what you do in the band.
I'm Matt. I sing and play guitar.
I'm Anthony. Oh, you can go,
Hi.
Alden.
I'm Alden. I play bass.
I'm Anthony. I play guitar. And then our drummer is not present, but he plays drums, and his name is Andy.
That's a
But
good
he's
thing
with
that your
another.
drummer
He's with
plays
an.
drums.
Yeah, exactly. He's mostly known for that, but he's with another band rehearsing with them. So I don't know how we feel about that, but
Let's kick him out.
yeah, we might have to kick him out. So if this goes out, if anybody plays drums that sees this, hit us up on Instagram.
So we're using the interview as a plugin. You know, it's hard to find drummers. I've interviewed bands, especially I interviewed a band but it was a death metal from Tampa, and apparently it's very hard to find a death metal drummer. But for alternative, maybe since the drumming doesn't have to be like all blast beats, maybe it'll be easier, I guess. So yeah, we're here to talk about Plastic Sun, which I've listened to it this week a few times. I like it because it has like a grunge feel to it, but also there's a lot of shoegaze, and I love shoegaze. So there's a mixture of like 90s sounds with shoegaze and indie rock that I enjoyed about the album. So since you obviously you guys are a new band, you formed in 2017. Tell us a bit about how how the band got together.
So I put a Craigslist ad up, and I found Anthony, and Anthony was already jamming with Andy. So right off the bat, Anthony and I like clicked on music taste, like just similar bands that we were vibing off of. I think like Low was like a band that we were both like down for. And then I actually met another bass player at the time. So Alden's our second bass player. But yeah, we had jammed for, I don't know how, we put out one EP with the past lineup, and like that was like pretty quick. It was just kind of like learn my songs and learn Anthony's songs. And yeah, I don't know, like that was we've just been playing like for a while after that. COVID hit, wrote the record, parted ways with our bass player. Like that's like kind of like the long story short, and then put out this record in January. But yeah, initially we met on Craigslist, and we actually met Alden on Craigslist as well.
Yes,
So
everybody in
there's
the
not
band met through Craigslist.
like a dating website like findingbases.com.
I think
yeah,
there probably is, but
well,
we've never used them because Craigslist is better. You can get air conditioners, couches, pictures of feet, whatever you want.
yeah, I'm from Puerto Rico. In Puerto Rico, we don't have Craigslist. We have something called Clasificados Online, which is basically the same shit. So you find everything there. So I think musicians post there as well. So yeah, you guys got together. You got Alden. So tell me about when you were working. I was reading that you started working on Plastic Sun in the pandemic times, right? You had a lot of time to write this one.
Yeah, I think we've probably started writing, like we probably had four of the songs that are on there now, three or four before the pandemic started. And then once that happened, we kind of like didn't have anything to do. So we're like, we might as well just write a full record. And we had like over that period, like maybe wrote 15 to 20 songs, and we recorded maybe 12, and I think only 10 made it on the record, something like that. So it was a mix of like some before COVID and then but largely during COVID. But I don't know. To me, it didn't feel like inspired by COVID. It just kind of happened at the same time, if that makes sense. But then like the COVID stuff was a huge pain in the butt to deal with, like after, because it's like, all right, we have this record. A, how do we even record it? Because getting into the studio is kind of hard. And then like when it's like done, are there going to be shows? Like this was we finished the record like when there were literally no shows happening or anything like that. So that was like it was just a weird time to be like coming out with something that we were all super excited about. It was like, yeah, we're finally a good freaking band. And then it's like, yeah, well, live music is dead and nice shot, but you're gonna be in your apartment on a walking treadmill for the next 40 years and then and I don't know, die and nobody's gonna ever listen to it. So and that's good it didn't happen. Maybe walking
Well,
treadmill is a good part, but like I don't know. So yeah, so that's kind of like how COVID, at least I feel COVID like affected the record. It was like the atmosphere around it, I guess.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I
because
think. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, like Anthony was saying, like we were actually playing Bedhead live pre-COVID. And that's the only song that made the record, but we had like a couple other ones, and I think we had even played a couple other ones live. But yeah, like wrote like 20 songs or something like that, and then just kind of like trim the fat and pick the best ones. But yeah, just everything just took forever. Mixing it and mastering it took forever, and figuring out like who we want to put it out with. So it's funny that like the record came out in January, because I feel like for Alden it's newer, because Alden, I don't know how long you've been with us, like maybe like a
It's
year
about a
now.
year now. Yeah, just
Yeah.
about a year.
But yeah, for me and Anthony and Andy, I feel like these songs are like old to us. But then like it was just kind of like a whole new experience for us too, like getting Alden on board, because like we're not a like band that's just starting out, and like it's like, hey, we just put out this record, can you learn 10 songs?
Did you make
Yeah.
him like learn extra solos for songs?
He's
Like,
still he's still learning.
I'm joking. I just interviewed this old a metal band from the 80s, and they had a guitar player, and they made him do 10 solos so he would be in the band,
Oh wow.
which
I
I
mean,
thought was extreme.
honestly, like the fact that Alden could play Josh's parts, like Josh was like is like a pretty prolific bass player, and the fact that like Alden was able to do it and like he came to rehearsal with notes, which nobody else did.
Yeah,
Kind
it
of
was
was
clear
just
that
like,
he was the right guy right off the
So
bat.
Alden, did you came like with a notepad with suggestions?
I don't think the suggestions at that point would have been very well received, but they were some notes just for myself, because I heard they sent me the album in advance just so I could learn a lot of the tracks, and I was really taken away by it. So I spent a lot of time learning the songs before I even got in the room with them. And some of the notes I brought were just on the parts I was less sure of at that point. So I brought those with me just to make sure I could keep everything in line.
Nice. Yeah, I could just imagine Alden came and he's with the notes, and I'm like, "Hey guys, this part sucks. You got to change this whole part of the song."
I mean,
No,
maybe
but
he
yeah,
thinks that, he just hasn't told us.
he did a PowerPoint presentation and sent to you guys like, "This is all the things that you need to change from the album." Like, no, but that's good that he came and he learned the songs and contributed to the band, so you could make him part of the band. So yeah, Plastic Sun. I'm gonna show the artwork. I like the artwork because it's it's a simple picture. You have like the balloon that's about to burst and the plastic sun. So what were you trying to convey with the cover for this
That
album?
this is an interesting question because at one point in the history of this record, this was a very contentious decision to use this image between all of us because we all have, or I guess Matt Alden, I mean Matt, Andy, and myself, the drummer, who's not here, because we're all very opinionated. So, but this is a picture that I took,
Okay.
and I was I'm not like I wouldn't call myself a photographer or anything like that, but I just like to take pictures of dumb stuff on the street that catches my eye, and this happens to be one of those things. And I was just, when we were talking about album ideas, we were like throwing different artists around and that sort of thing. And like we weren't super excited. Some artists were taking too long to get back to us. So I was like, all right, let me see what I have. Let me see what I can do. And I kind of came up with this picture out of all like the different pictures I had. And I was like, oh, this seems like it works as like an album cover. It's like simple, but there's also kind of like some weird like emotion that's a little bit like off center, which I feel like kind of fits with the theme of like the music and stuff that inspires me. So I think, yeah, we showed this to a few people and they also kind of agreed it was interesting and like big and pink and eye catching. And then we kind of all sat together and then worked on like hammering out like, all right, make the font like this big, no, the font that big, lowercase, uppercase, all that type of stuff, and like getting like the blending of like the colors right and stuff like that. So yeah, we did it ourselves, and I think this is one of the things I'm more happy about. Not, I guess I like a lot of things, but this, I'm happy with how this came out. And I'm happy with how people like it, I guess. Proud,
Cool.
if you will.
So why did you had a hard time deciding for that picture in particular? Please don't say to me that it was violence against like balloons.
No,
Because-
definitely not. No, we're very pro balloon slash pro choice balloon. So either way, either side of the balloon argument, we support
No,
it.
no balloons
So,
were hurt in the picture.
exactly.
If the making
And
of
if
the
they
cover.
were, that is also okay. If whatever. No, I think we just have different like tastes, or I think we had different ideas of what we wanted to see. And Matt took a little bit more convincing to come around, but I think he came around and I think we're both happy. But feel free to correct me if that's not right, Matt.
No, you're right. I don't know. It's like Anthony said, like it is like a like off kilter image. Like it's not something for me, like it's not something that you see like on album art that often. And especially like in like kind of like the scene that we're in, like having like big, bright, bold colors isn't really seen that often. And so I think like initially too, like it's just not an idea that I feel like I would probably gravitate to naturally. I feel like a lot of the bands that like we vibe with, like you look at their album art, like they're pretty similar or kind of have like a same like similar vibe. And I think like the reason that we all settled upon it is because it's so like left field. And like I don't know, just yeah, like flipping through, if I was looking through records and I see something with like that's big and pink and then like the name is right on the front too, it's just like very recognizable as well.
Oh, yeah, and I think the balloon, because the balloon's the only like really color, because you see garbage in the back, so I think it works well for an album cover. It's eye catchy. So yeah, I saw the video and I actually commented on your YouTube page for the No Outlet music video, which is a cool video because it reminded me of those old school alternative videos in the 90s that they would play in 120 minutes. You have like a TV in the street and you guys are playing and you see stuff that's happening all over the city. It actually reminded me of, you remember the first season of The Real World? I think that was the opening. There was like a TV and then you saw the city. So it kind of reminded me like that. So when you were doing the music video for No Outlet, what was the idea behind that music video?
I think we had always like one of the kind of like logo, one of like the things, I guess, images that we've always had with the band was like a smashed like CRT cathode ray TV, like it's an old 90s TV that was smashed, which we came up with just because you see those on the street all the time in our neighborhood. And so it was kind of just like funny play, like this is where we're from. It's like a cutesy little like smash TV. And then I think it was Andy's idea of like we all were talking about something about having like us on a TV and filming the TV, and then Andy was like, "Oh, let's just have like the TV in different like locations," and then we ended up just taking it all over the city, and like we had like a whole script with it that was going to be like, "Oh, we do this and that," but like it just ended up being way too involved, and we just kind of settled on like whatever the coolest shots we can get that makes sense to us, we'll do that, and then edit it all together, and it came out pretty good. I think interesting. We're happy with it, I guess, is what I should say.
It's good,
Well,
Anthony. You can be proud.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But like, yeah,
well,
I don't think we didn't think about like ripping anything off, or not that you're saying that, but like I think it came up very not yet. I know you're not, but like I think it came up very organically. Like, oh, let's just fucking, we got a TV, let's just do this. And then I think like a lot of our sound too is like we're just grew up in the 90s, so like naturally what we produce just kind of mirrors that, and it's not even entirely conscious to like look or sound like that. It's just kind of like this was the shit that was cool when we were growing up, and like we're
that's
just doing it because it's like in
yeah,
our DNA a little bit.
that's what I like too. Like that's where like most of the I listen to new music as well, but most of the music I love is from the 90s. But since 2015, like since like 7 years ago, I've seen a lot of like newer bands embracing that sound, because first band I heard was there was a band called Super Heaven. I don't know
Yeah.
if they're still around, but they had that sound. Then you had Narrowhead, Teenage Wrist, Super Bloom. You have bands now like Soft Cult, which has like a shoegaze thing to them. So I'm loving this revival of like because you're playing music inspired by the 90s, but with a modern touch. Because some people will say, oh, they're ripping off bands. No, you're giving it like a new sound with modern influences. So I like it because it's not a pure ripoff like Greta Van Fleet. Sorry, it's that sounds just like Led Zeppelin. But yeah, I like it because you're paying. You can see the influences, but you're putting your own like modern style to it, if you will. So for you guys growing up, like which were your favorite 90s bands?
So I think like growing up is different than also like how I look at things now. 'Cause I
Yeah,
think
you
like
can say like growing up and now.
yeah, because like I was born in 91, so like
Damn you.
perspective, right? So like 90s bands that I really vibed with, like Third Eye Blind was probably like the first like alternative rock band I like really liked. Um and then I think like I was listening to like Incubus and Blink-182, like stuff I saw on MTV was always cool. And I remember seeing like a lot of those bands, and like Green Day. And then like I remember when Jimmy Eat World came out with Bleed American, that was like really big for me. Um, and that was kind of like in the 90s. Maybe I don't know when Bleed American, maybe that was like 2000 something, but those were big when I was like a kid. And then like and like I knew about some of the other stuff, but I wasn't like as big of a fan. But now Hum is like my favorite band like forever, and
They're
Red
good.
House Painters are like, those are like my two favorite bands like ever. So like anything that any of those guys do is great. And like Failure is big for me too. But yeah, I don't know. I think like I had a big like 90s honestly like just like discovery like when I was like 20 years old, and just finding out about a lot of bands like I didn't really know about too well, and like get like deep diving into them. Like I got super into Dinosaur Jr. and Sonic Youth, and like all the shoegaze stuff like My Blade Valentine, Slow Dive, all that stuff. So yeah, I feel like that stuff like kind of stuck with me. And there's like bands that I really like out of those after doing like the deep dive, because when I first found out, I'm like, oh, like everything is so cool. But like the stuff I'm like going back to all the time is like, yeah, like Hum and Failure and Smashing Pumpkins and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say like those are kind of like the top bands now for me.
Good. I'm glad you didn't say Spin Doctors.
No.
That would be in the list of albums that I regret buying back in the day. So what about you, Alden? What bands were you into when you were growing up, and now which one of those 90s bands you like more now?
Sure, yeah. So my first CD was also Third Eye Blind, self-titled. So that's
a great one. I have it
still
on
love
vinyl.
it. Yeah, it's impossible to deny. But then, growing up, I grew up in New Jersey, so I was really influenced by bands like Lifetime and Saves the Day, and definitely Deftones. Even though they're not from New Jersey, they were really influential for me.
You can't go wrong
Definitely,
with
like Matt
Deftones.
said, I know, right? Everybody loves Deftones. They're another one that's impossible not to like. Yeah, Matt mentioned Smashing Pumpkins. They're definitely a big influence on me. But it's just that whole era really has kind of been very, very formative for me. And I've kind of continued with a lot of those bands, still listening to them today. And then the newer bands, it's not really 90s, but one of the things that drew me in when they posted the Craigslist ad, they listed Deftones one, and then also Title Fight, which was another band that was pretty formative for me growing up, playing shows with them and playing around the North Jersey area.
Awesome. So what about you? Why did you put Frank? And they've been calling you another name. Like it says Frank right there.
Why does it say Frank?
I named my computer Frank Milk. I don't know why. And that's just I just downloaded Zoom. I didn't have it on this computer, I guess, but that's how it showed up. But Anthony is my real name, but Frank Milk is my alias. So I don't know. I might start going by Frank Milk more. It's more of a powerful name. I feel like it stands for something. I don't know. Anthony's just like, all right, but Frank Milk, and you can say the whole name, Frank Milk.
Maybe that could be your alter ego.
Right. Or maybe it'll be my real ego. I don't know, band wise. In the 90s, Weezer and Smashing Pumpkins were probably like what Siamese Dream and the Blue Album are what I had the most probably plays on my Walkman. And then and Tool, I was super into Tool. I had like every Tool poster, every Tool like sweatshirt that would come out, like anything to do with Tool, I would be all over. Not so much now, but I still like a few of those albums, like Undertow, 46 and 2, or whatever, Anima, Lateralis. I think those are all the good ones. And then now, I guess similar to Matt, I kind of discovered a lot of like the college noise, indie, alternative side of things, like Pavement, Archers of Loaf, Sonic Youth, like that type of stuff. Dinosaur Jr. I think of those bands, probably Archers of Loaf like sticks with me the most now, just because I like how like interesting the guitars on that like icky metal are, just how kind of like out of tune and out of place, but still like very like harmonic and like pretty and interesting that record is. So that's my 90s rundown.
Nice. So the album, the album has pretty cool songs. So for you guys, maybe like we can talk now, like what for each one, which one is your favorite song and why, and which one was the song that was the hardest to write?
Favorite
And
song.
yeah,
I'm just
you can
gonna
start.
jump
We can
in.
start with Frank Milk.
Yeah. My favorite song, I think, is Heat Lamp. I think it's my favorite song to play live, but also it's maybe my favorite one. Just because I like the way the ending builds to that one. I feel like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of different guitars, and as a guitar player, that's what I like to hear. Is just way too many guitars, but I think we did a good job at the end of that one with keeping it kind of tasteful. So that's probably my favorite one. And then the hardest to write, might have been, I think Marker was the hardest to write. And maybe you can tell if you hear the song because there seems to be a lot of parts in that one. But I think that's one of the songs that we just like couldn't decide what should go where. We had extra parts, we took parts out, we made things longer, shorter, and we're like, I think we just got to go with how it is. And like, yeah, I think we just like started to nitpick that one a bit. So that got a bit challenging.
Yeah, I'd
Cool.
say the hardest one to write was definitely Marker as well for those exact reasons. Favorite song on the album? I'd say probably, yeah, if everyone to play live is probably Drag Suit. But I don't know. I like Common Thief like as a song. I don't like playing that song.
You like it as a
Why?
song, or
'Cause
you
you-
don't like playing it? Okay.
It's hard. It's hard on my hands. It's hard on my hands. It's
Oh,
a lot of stretching. I'm like this the whole time.
okay. So maybe you will be sponsored by aloe vera, and they'll give you some lotion
That's what I need. I need like the hand spacers.
after you play that song, so you don't get blisters. So what about you, Alden?
I'd say my favorite song is Bedhead. That one initially really grabbed me when I heard it. It just has this like incredibly long build up and a big crescendo, very melodic. So that's probably my favorite to listen to. The one that's challenging for me to play is Beside Yourself because it has this extremely long bass outro at the very end of the album.
Yeah, that's the last
Um,
one, and it's like a long song, like a 6 minute song almost.
It's a long song, right? So it's a bit of a marathon, but it's fun to play at the same time. But just yeah, definitely more of a challenge.
when
Yeah.
we can get the big muff working correctly.
That's right. Yeah, got to juggle some pedals as well.
Yeah. No, and let's talk a little bit like what are most like the themes that you cover in this album? Because obviously, Bedhead. I think the title alone, you think of someone waking up out of bed. But what are some of the themes that you explore on the album?
For me, like loss and addiction is like a big one. I don't know. I feel like this album was written in kind of like a dark time in our band. Yeah, I don't know. But also like trying to like kind of trying to like see the light in that or like yeah, I don't
Like
know, just kind of
like the
like
past,
let
like
it be or something like that. Like just kind of like letting things like, you know, like a shitty situation, like not dwelling on it, kind of deal like that. At least for me, I feel like those are kind of like the themes that I see on the record.
yeah, I think there's some uplifting qualities to it, you know. So yeah, I think that it shows in the music. So I know you guys are gonna tour soon in July for this release. So I'm gonna show the dates here because I see it's mostly East Coast, right? That you guys are playing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all East
East
Coast.
Coast, up and
Yeah,
down the East Coast.
the Plastic Summer Tour, which starts on July 22nd, you're playing in Brooklyn, and it wraps up on Baltimore on the 30th. So it'll be like a week tour. So yeah, it should be fun. Who guys is there like a band playing with you guys, or is it only gonna be you guys?
It's just us.
Okay, yeah. And
Yeah, we'll
it's
play
called the
with different
Plastic.
bands at each stop. No, there's
Cool.
none that's on tour with us, so we just
Oh yeah.
set up each
Also,
of them
you have
for
opening bands
separate
depending
for
on
each
where
one.
you are.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
yeah, cool.
exactly.
So yeah, should be a cool tour. So are you excited for the tour to start? Like I know it's gonna be like it's still a month away, but
Yeah, we're excited. I'm in charge of the van, so I have to make sure it's good to go before we head out. Which I replaced a battery. There's a little bit of leaking that I'm gonna wait until last week to tell people about. But otherwise it's in good shape. So yeah, we've been on. I think the last tour we did was like a week, and then we went on like a weekend or two before then. So I think this will be the longest one with this iteration of us, but not by much. So it should be fun. I think we're all looking at it as like a nice break from like our regular lives. So I think if you embrace that, then like the kind of more boring or whatever, like the down moments don't really affect you as bad. So and then it's fun to be in places in place cities. So just
We
the ebb and
haven't
flow,
played
the
a
ups
lot
and
of these
downs.
places either.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah.
And like
we haven't been to a lot of
I
these
haven't
places.
been to a lot of these places. Like my birthday is on the 25th, so we'll be on tour on my birthday,
Yeah.
which will be fun.
He put it's my
Um,
Matt's birthday in our official calendar.
Don't forget, yeah. And our,
I deleted it out of spite because I'm petty.
I'll put
but
it in the description so people, you're like, no, we don't want everyone knowing it's your birthday.
Yeah.
So it'll be different because you'll get to play and probably that you can sing happy birthday to yourself.
that's
That's
true.
Yeah.
That's true.
And
Well,
and
actually, I
maybe
can get
do
the rest of
cake.
the band to sing. You guys have mics too now, so you guys can sing me happy birthday.
That's
But also, like, I feel like Alden did a lot of like the booking for this tour. And I mean,
Yeah, we
honestly,
split
just
it.
like I'm interested to see like the places we play too. Like some of them just seem like super kooky, or like the bands we're playing with. Like there's one band that put out like a black metal song the other day, and I was like, damn, this is crazy. Like we're playing with this band, so it'll definitely be
well,
interesting for sure.
there's like a band that I've listened to last year that I really like the album they're called Holy Fawn. And they have like an alternative sound, but they also have like a black metal sound to them, and they incorporate it, and it sounds awesome. So I've listened to, there's different stuff out there. So for people that want to get the physical album, I know that there's a link in Bandcamp, and do not worry, I'm gonna show it here. For the people, you have you don't only have like the vinyl, but you have cassettes as well.
Yep.
That's right.
So yeah, awesome. And I see that one of the vinyls is pink and one is yellow. The pink makes sense with the cover. So yeah, if people want to get it, they can get it on Bandcamp, or they could also get it on the record label, right? La Carte.
Yeah, I think it's just like a la carte records.com. You can buy it from their site as well. Or you can pick it up from us at a show.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll have copies now on the tour that you'll have in July. So I find it amazing that bands are putting out cassettes. I'm like, I don't know where I would put a cassette. I don't own not even my car has to play cassettes anymore.
There's like a weird resurgence in like, I don't know, of hipsters in New York and Bay Area where I'm from, of like people having tape players. And when we were putting the record out, a la carte was like, yeah, you guys should have like some physical format, because records are going to take forever. And I think we were deciding between tapes or CDs, and we were like, because we had done tapes with our previous EP. I own some tapes and stuff, and like our crappy old man is a tape player, so yeah, we did. I think, how many tapes we do? Like 100 tapes. We didn't do like a lot. This is kind of like having them to have them.
And they sold pretty well, actually.
Yeah, they did. When you
yeah, because I think a lot of people buy them as collectibles as well. So yeah, it's a cool thing. I have a vinyl player, so yeah, I know vinyl has been like making like a huge resurgence. So I'll post the link for people who obviously want to get the physical format. If not, you can catch the band on tour on July and buy some merch from them. Are you gonna have like some cool T-shirts with the balloon?
Yeah,
we do actually. Yeah,
we'll have it by then.
Maybe you guys should have like a balloon as the mascot of the band. So when you start the show, the balloon pops up. The bad thing
guy
is
in a
like,
balloon suit.
Yeah, the bad thing is if you have to buy a shit ton of fucking balloons to take with you, but like you could start the show and at the last song the lone balloon will fly and someone can take it home. So
we're not gonna pay you for that idea.
I'm not taking credit. I'm not taking credit for it. Yeah, I'll be like at the end, I'll send you like a check. You need to pay the shield dude on a couch for that idea. No.
Right.
I'll give it for free to you guys. So guys, thank you it's been great talking about the album Plastic Song. I would recommend this to people that like that alternative 90s sound, who like grunge, who like shoegaze, indie rock. Do not sleep on this band. They're a newer band, and the album's been out now a few months, but you can get it now if you wish to, and catch them on tour. So anything you would like to say to the people watching this before we go?
Eat your vegetables, take your vitamins, sleep well, listen to us, come to shows, subscribe on the internet channels.
Yeah, subscribe to the band. The band is on YouTube. I already subscribed to them, so you can subscribe to them as well. So there you have the music video, and you can get more stuff from the band. So cool. So guys, I'll let you guys go, and hopefully the tour is a success and more people can get into Plight. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and good night.